my company manager opened the door and was like, and Chiara will be getting you ready for Pa. And I was like, okay. And then cue me running to my dressing room. And like, the good thing about, our company and the way it's all set up is that we do our makeup every single night, regardless we're on or not. And we have an emergency hairstyle. So we will do our hair in a hairstyle that is something that isn't similar to anyone else on stage. So that if we were to go on stage in an emergency, we don't look like anyone else. And the crown gets put on us, and in costume, off we go.
You're listening to the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. My name's Justin, or you can call me Stin. On today's episode, we're answering the question, what is the role of a swing in theatre? To do that, we're joined by our co-host Zoe Rose, the director of the Taming of the Shrew for the Dyer Theatre Company, and is implementing swings into their performance plan. After our pre-show chat, we're joined by our featured guest for the episode, Chiara Assetta, who is currently a swing on the Australian production of Six the Musical. Chiara talks us through her history in theatre, what the role of a swing is, and why the swings of Six go beyond this role. We also hear some behind-the-scenes stories of the chaotic and exhilarating nature of swings in theatre. You can find all of our content by following us on Instagram at TheatreThoughtsAUS and our YouTube channel. So sit back, switch on those thoughts, and prepare yourself for a packed episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. Welcome everyone to a new episode of the Theatre Thoughts Podcast. We have a new sort of structure going. You might have heard it last episode with Charlotte joining us for our co-hosting that I'm trying to bring into the podcast as a new way to bring different audiences, different creators, and try to stretch out the amount of people we have on here. I'm very honoured today to have a good friend of mine who is a director. They're a performer. And they're currently directing The Taming of the Shrew for Dyer Theatre Company's Shakespeare, which is on from Friday the 5th of August to Sunday the 14th of August. Please welcome as our co-host for today, Zoe Rose.
Hello, thank you for that intro. Gosh, I'm honoured.
You're very welcome. I think my intros are becoming like my staple for the podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely a massive compliment, so don't get rid of them.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very, very good. The sun is out, thank God.
Yes. Oh, it's wonderful.
Get a bit of skin, or light on my skin.
I get a bit of skin.
I don't know what's going on with my words lately. My head's just so all over the place.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think I'm going to say some silly things as well, so don't worry about it. We'll get some skin together.
Excellent. So you're directing Taming of the Shrew at the moment. I've been keeping up with it on Facebook. You have a very talented cast. I'm just going to quickly skim through them. So you have Erin Middleton, Louis Cuff, Natanya Forbes, Monique Barrios, Stacey Wales, Chiara Rose, Alex, I'm going to get this wrong, Elefsky, Jamie Peterson, and Katie Allen. That is a very full-on talented cast. How are they?
Yes. It is an amazing cast. I will add one more. We've got an extra at the moment. We've got a swing, actually. A swing
How very, that's actually in perfect line with the episode.
It's on brand. Yes, yeah. It is. Georgina Reed, they are helping us out with our COVID plan of such. So she's also in the cast list, but yet to be announced. She's our secret weapon at the moment.
I did see that. I saw that on your Facebook. It said secret weapon. I was like, ooh, interesting.
Yes. Yeah, she's been trying her best to learn all 9 roles, and between me and her, if anything goes wrong with COVID, we've got our swing plan in action. Wow. So yeah, I'm going to add another one to that list.
So you're part of that plan as well, are you?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't expect her to learn, 60 pages of Shakespeare and 9 different roles. So we decided to just do our best between the two of us to have a plan in place that if someone does get COVID at the time of the shows or something else goes wrong, we'll be able to jump in at a moment's notice. So yeah, it is on brand with the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah, no, that's awesome actually. I didn't know that.
Yeah, secret weapon.
I like that independent and community theatre companies are starting to do that. I think it's very clever, and also it adds this element of just an element of professionalism to it that, you know, the community theatre wouldn't have even thought about before.
Oh, I totally agree. And it's so important. And I think you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot if you do any type of theatre without having some sort of COVID plan in place to have someone there, a swing, to cover the roles and to be there. I mean, we did a show recently and we had someone sing backstage for the lead who was sick and lost their voice. And it was like this crazy, we should have planned ahead, do you know what I mean? And thought about it earlier. So when I was directing, I was like, we need to make sure there's a plan in place and be on top of it straight away. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did.
How are you finding directing?
It is so much pressure. You feel like, I can imagine it's the same pressure that a teacher feels in a classroom, like all of these faces looking up at you and relying on you to tell them what to do. But it's so rewarding and so exciting to see, like you said, my cast is so insanely talented, to see your vision brought to life and up to the standard that you expected as well. So it's been amazing and like really humbling as well to just be surrounded by people that all are so excited to do the thing that you had the idea for, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, wow. Awesome. So for those who aren't Shakespeare fans, give us a brief rundown of Taming of the Shrew.
Okay, I can do that. So Taming of the Shrew is probably one of Shakespeare's more popular comedies, I would say, or classic comedies. It's my favourite personally, but I guess I'm biased. Whenever people don't know the show, I always ask them if they've seen the movie 10 Things I Hate About You with Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles. Obviously that movie is based off the story of the Taming of the Shrew, and it's an excellent way to describe the story because it's all about, you know, how do we, in a modern day, how do we visualize strong women and how do we perceive them? And for our version of Taming of the Shrew in particular, I've modernized it to be more relevant to this day and age, I suppose. We're setting it in a 1970s feminist era kind of way of looking at it, a 1970s feminist viewpoint, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's essentially about, you know, this shrew, this woman who doesn't fit society's norms, and she is told that she'll never find love because she's too outlandish for everyone.
Right. And
she finds someone that kind of challenges her in a way, but they find this common ground, or do they? Question mark. And yeah, I think it's just about, you know, being able to be different, finding love. But the more traditional version is that shrews will never find love.
Poor shrews. Poor
shrews. But yeah, when you're looking at it from a different point of view, a more modern eye, it's very power to the women.
Yeah,
feminist.
And I think that's what a lot of people forget about Shakespeare is that I can't speak for him. It was 400 years ago. You know, he might have hated women. You know, they're all performed by men. Who knows? But like a lot of his female characters are very powerful.
So powerful. So powerful. I don't know if he did that on purpose, and I've often thought about that as well, because there's so many other Shakespearean plays where, you know, the most powerful monologues that he's written are the women's. And, you know, some of the most powerful scenes and storylines are those of the women's. And it's just like, did he intentionally do this? I'm not sure, but I thank him nonetheless. Thank you, Shakespeare.
Exactly. Thanks, Bill. Well done, mate. And obviously it's an all-female cast under the Shakespeare banner.
It sure is, yeah.
Are you going to invite Mark Latham to the performance?
We have thought about it. We absolutely have. We can't wait to push our lesbian agenda.
The lesbian
quote
agenda.
Quote unquote, yes. All of that crazy stuff in the media, we take it as any publicity is good publicity, of course.
Well, that's what I said to Adam. Adam, for those who don't know, he's the owner of the Dire Theatre Company. I said to him, mate, you can't pay for this type of publicity.
Exactly. It was wild. You were kind of handed this free advertising platform where every single journalist and news platform got on board to write an article about Shakespeare and about the Dire Theatre. It was just, handed to us for free. It was insane. Yeah, definitely worth the reads for sure. I suppose the only thing I'll say on that is it's a testament to our current generation and the people that watch theatre. The responses that we got were so supportive, and especially, you know, doing Shakespeare, like gender bending of Shakespeare is not a new concept, and it's something that's been going on for a really long time. And, you know, it's all about creating opportunities for those who might not have gotten that opportunity in a traditional sense. For example, Shakespeare was always done with men. Giving that opportunity to non-binary and female performers is crazy, but it's not new, and people know that, and they're not shocked by that anymore. And it's good to have the support behind you.
So let's quickly turn to the podcast for today. We're going to talk about Six the Musical. I know you're a big Six fan.
Oh, insane. I don't want to fangirl too much.
It's fine. I fangirl all the time on these podcasts. I'm just sitting here going, oh my God.
I'm trying to keep composed. Composed.
So where's your love from Six come from?
Well, I actually got on the Six bandwagon a bit late. I remember when people were telling me to listen to it for ages, and I vividly remember making a status after I'd listened to it in its entirety for the first time. And I was like, guys, why didn't you tell me about this sooner? And I remember, our friend Daniel, who you've had on the podcast before, he was like, I've been telling you about this for so long. Like, of course.
During one of the rehearsals of Catch Me, I swear to God, during one of the warm-ups, I played Get Down as one of the warm-ups. And I remember our friend Talia looking at me going, what is this song? And I was like, how do you not know this?
Feels like a different world to not know any of the Six songs. I mean, now I feel like I could sing every single lyric, no issues. But, back then, I feel like I got on it a bit late, and I'm ashamed for it. But I am obsessed with it. I think I just got influenced by the theatre people that I had around me to listen to it, and I finally did, and never turned back.
Excellent. No, I think it's a train. Once you're on it, you're on it.
Oh, yeah. You have to be. It's the best.
Excellent. Well, this is a good segue, actually. So are you ready to talk to our guest for today?
So ready. So ready.
Welcome to our main chat with our featured guest for today. I'm going to introduce her before we jump in. So we have a talented artist who I've been following for quite some time. She trained at the Glenda Yee School of Dance and graduated from 85 International Performing Arts. She's worked professionally with companies including Opera Australia and Squabologic and Universal Studios in Japan. In 2020, she won the Best Cabaret Award from Broadway World Australia for Siblingship, which she co-created and choreographed. On screen, she's worked on Dance Academy, So You Think You Can Dance Australia, and was part of the backing vocals for Delta Goodrem, but now she's saving the day as 1/3 of the talented swings of Six the Musical Australia. Please welcome to the podcast, Chiara Assetta. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hi. What a beautiful intro. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Well deserved.
Yes, I feel like I'd need to hit my applause button on this.
Yeah,
on this
you need
device.
a cheer at the end. Yeah.
Stop, guys.
Welcome. I've like I said, I've been following you for quite some time now. I didn't introduce this before because I want to see if you remember, but we actually went to high school together.
Yeah, where I do not remember.
No way.
Yeah, well, you must have been a fair few years under me because I think Daniel was about maybe 2 years under me. And I swear I remember at one point you two performing at Shines together. You must have been, because I remember seeing Daniel perform, and then I swear I was thinking about it. I was like, did I see them perform together? I swear I did.
Probably.
Yeah.
Every second we got, we would try and sing together on some kind of stage.
As you should.
And then to see where you've gone beyond that is incredible.
Thank you. I think it's crazy. When I was in high school, and all the times we would sing together and on stage, and I would always say, I remember having my meeting with the careers advisor, and she was like, so out of the book, what would you like to do? And I was like, I'm going to be a performer. And she was like, that's not in the book. I was like, well.
It's the same conversation I had. I was go into that little cottage with her, and then she sat down, she'd show you the book, and I said, I want to be a performer. And she goes, what about teaching? Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah. I was like,
it's never in the book.
Lady, I was like, just because it's not in your book, it doesn't mean it's not a real thing.
That's excellent. Well, I mean, you've, like I said before, you've had an amazing career. So could you tell us a bit about yourself and your your quick highlights of who you are and your career performing?
Sure. Well, I guess it all started when I was finishing full-time at 85. It's around that in second year, that third term, when we start being able to audition for things. And so I remember we all had been given the day off to audition for Universal. And I was just in the headspace of being like, I just want to do musical theatre. I don't want to do theme parks. Like my goal is musicals. And so I remember I wasn't going to go. And I was like, I don't want to be in a theme park. So I had convinced myself that I wasn't going. And then I heard that everyone was going, and I was like, oh, I don't want to be the only person that didn't rock up, and like I'm just having a day off at home, not doing anything. And so then I was like, okay, no, I'll go. I'll be like, it would be a good experience to be in an audition. And I remember just like leaving the audition and being like, that was just so much fun. And I was like, oh, if all auditions are like this, then heaven.
Heaven.
They're not all like that.
No.
But, and then I remember I was driving home from full time probably like a month later, and I remember getting a call from my agent, and he was like, so an offer's just come through for Universal, but it's not a normal offer because they have someone leaving the contract early, and they actually want you to come and finish it off and then start a brand new contract. So you'd actually be living in Japan for 16 months. And I just remember like listening to this conversation being like, what is going on?
Wow.
Like in my head, I just had no expectations of like getting it at all, because I think in my head, I had just been like, oh, I'm just going in there for the experience of an audition, but didn't actually think about what if I got it.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, I need to do this. And they were like, you would be getting on a flight 2 days after you graduate from full time. And I literally would have my grad. And then 2 days later, I'd be literally moving my entire life to Japan for 16 months. I almost didn't contemplate it for a second, which was so weird, because it's like, that's massive to move your entire life just to another country. Even now, after coming back home after Japan, and I then wrote Siblingship with my brother Daniel, and we performed that at the Hayes and Chapel of Chapel and the Queen Bee in Canberra, like did our own little tour of that. And then I did West Side, West Side Story, the most iconic musical ever. That was literally one of my dreams to be in. But it's funny, because if anyone asks me now, like, what was your favorite thing that you've done in your career? I am so grateful that I went to Japan and I did Universal Studios, because it was something that I always used to think, oh, like, that's not as good as being in a musical, or that doesn't give you the same skills, or whatever, people judge. Yeah. I am now like the biggest advocator, especially at the beginning of your career, to do things like that. I just made the most amazing memories, and I just grew up so much as a person, having to live, in another country, and Japan is the most beautiful country to live in as well. So I was double lucky. I literally will tell anyone who has time to listen to go to Japan. It's the most beautiful place in the whole world. But yeah, Universal just taught me so many things that I am just so, so grateful for. And now, obviously, to be doing the most incredible musical, I think, in the world.
Yeah, agreed.
And swinging six incredible queens. I think, the trajectory of like from me doing Universal to now, I think, it wouldn't have, I don't think I would be where I am if I didn't do my Universal contract.
That is awesome.
It actually, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be really embarrassing. It took me ages to understand what a swing was. I remember sitting like in theatre, going through the program, seeing understudy. I know what an understudy is. Okay, swing. What's a swing? Oh, okay. And now, like in COVID times, swings have become the saving grace of theatre. And even in the Tonys this year, I remember seeing this discourse about that there was no nominated category for swings, or some recognition for swings. And I was like, because you guys are saving shows, especially like you and Karis and Shannon are like the three swings of six, are saving it day after day. So could you kind of explain, for those who aren't aware, what's the role of a swing? What do you do?
Okay, so this is a really great question because swings in shows generally cover the roles of the people who are in the ensemble. So you have a show, you've got your leads, then you have your ensemble. So normally a standby or an alternate is who covers the leads or supporting leads in a show. And then you have your ensemble members who generally there's probably about, 7 or 8 female ensemble members and then 7 to 8 male ensemble members, depending on what the show is. And your swings basically will sometimes cover all 6 to 7 of the ensemble roles. And so that's kind of like what a swing is in a generic show when you have leads, supporting leads, and ensemble members. So the swings cover all the people in the ensemble. Now, 6 is a little different because obviously there are only 6 people on stage. And the show is considered an ensemble piece because there are 6 of us, but the 6 people on stage also happen to be the leads because there is no leads and ensemble. It's all just one. So, the show is made up of these 6 queens. So respectively, they are an ensemble as well as being their own, leads in their own right. So what makes it really interesting when you're a swing on 6 is that if you cover all 6 roles, which me, Karis, and Shannon, and our alternate swing, Christina, does, we are, rare in a sense because it's not like a normal show. We are going on and singing songs and considered leads when we are on, where normally if you are a swing in an ensemble, sometimes you won't even have any lines like that you would say on your own. It would more be about, filling in what the number looks like as part of the ensemble. But, swings normally wouldn't have too much things to say on their own or a full song that they would have to sing by themselves. That would normally be considered something that the alternate or the standby would do for the leads. Right. It's interesting because even my brother and I had a conversation about it the other night because he was like, I think it's interesting that you guys are called swings when you're on 6 because he's like, you're not actually doing what swings do in a sense. Like you are all standbys for all 6 of the roles. So if anything, you should be called standbys, not swings. But it's tricky because we are covering the people in the ensemble, but the ensemble also happen to be the lead. So it's like, it's a really fine line. Essentially, we cover all 6 roles. We know all their lines. We know all the moves that they do. We have to know, obviously, like the intentions of the characters inside and out so that when we step onto that stage, we're making sure that we are just as confident and equal to the other queens that do it every single night. And so that someone doesn't come to watch and goes, oh, I don't think that they were the person that's on all the time. You want people to come and just be like, wow, what a great show.
Yeah.
And Zoe, you were talking earlier about, what were you talking about earlier about the dance role?
Oh, I was saying, not to make it out like you do more than the other swings, because this is not my intention with this question, but I was thinking about your dance captain role as well. And I made a comment about saying, is that almost like a 7th queen for you, like having this dance captain role as well and having to be on top of all the choreography? I mean, as you already would be, knowing every single queen's role, but the corrections and stuff that you have to make, being that kind of person that people go to for help with choreography, is that like an extra role for you almost?
Yeah, so being dance captain, I always try to make sure that I'm watching the show at least once a week, take notes, because we also have our resident choreographer, Christina D'Agostino, who I am always kind of like, she's like my boss.
Oh, okay.
who I just want to take a moment to say, I am obsessed with. I absolutely adore her. Yeah. And so I'm so lucky to be working with her on 6.
She went on this week, didn't she?
And she went on this week. Yes.
Yeah.
She debuted this week. She's been our alternate swing. Obviously, just in the times of COVID, we have just needed some extra coverage, and she's just absolutely phenomenal. She has never been on before, but she's been like, behind the scenes with us, learning everything just in case of an emergency. And we have had an emergency this week, and so she was on and absolutely killed it, as we all knew she would. But she is our resident. So as dance captain, I always kind of report back to her, and we are always working closely together in terms of like making sure that the show is, you know, fine-tuned all the time, and always giving out notes to the cast to make sure that everyone's just staying on top of all the detail that's required in the show. But yeah, it's definitely another hat that I wear. But, you know, I think just the type of person and performer that I am absolutely obsessed with the choreography element of things. And, you know, also being a choreographer, since I was quite young at dance schools, like teaching, and then I started teaching at full times and started creating pieces for full time, you know, the graduations, and then, yeah, then when I did the dismissal and was kind of like dipped my toe into that, I was just like in love with, you know, all choreography type things in a show. So I think being dance captain is something that, you know, it doesn't necessarily feel like I'm doing extra work because I just am obsessed with it. And so like every
you just love it anyway.
Yeah, I just love it. And like, you know, for me, it's like another thing that I get to do that's different, and I get to watch the show and just like have an extra amount of appreciation sitting and watching everyone just absolutely kill it on stage. And then like, sometimes I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm meant to be writing notes. And I'm like, you know, sometimes I just am getting so into it because, you know, they just do our cast is so incredible, and they do such an incredible job. Like our notes are always just like really fine tuning things. Like everyone's so on top of their stuff, and you know, we're lucky we have such an incredible company. And this is something that they did look out for when they were doing the audition process. We were told like they really were watching like how we were on the sides and like how we would support people when they would audition, and like not how we would just do when we were on the floor being recorded, but like what we would do when we were on the side and watching other people dance.
Wow,
because
so cool.
Because at the end of the day, that also shows a lot of your personality of like how you would be as a cast member. Obviously, being talented in this industry is super important, but also being a good person is super important. Like,
absolutely.
It goes around for sure. Like people like start picking up and they go, this person's great to work with, or don't work with this person. Yeah, they're not that, you know.
100%. That's a big part of like what makes up a company. So, you know, you need to have really great supportive people around you to make a show click. And that's what you see on our stage. Like it's not fake. We all love and support each other so much. And when, you know, we're doing the competition, sometimes it's so hard to like when we're in like fight scene and like, you know, we're like yelling at another queen and like, you know, almost pulling each other's hair out. If you haven't watched the show, I don't want to do any spoilers, but
we've seen it.
But you know, we are essentially in this competition, but you know, it's so clear that, you know, through all of that, we are just all so supportive of each other and championing.
Championing.
What an interesting word. Championing each other along the way, because that is what makes this show.
Well, I know when I was speaking to Video and Carla a few weeks ago, like they just gelled so much. Like even though like it was via Zoom, I could feel that positivity, and also how much they reflected the queens that they were playing. Like that was something I was like, I can see Anne Boleyn like coming through you right now.
Literally. Yes. Yeah. Our queens who play, you know, the resident queens, it's so funny because you really do see so much essence of that queen in them. And I think it's so beautiful to see because everyone is so unique. And that's the whole point. Like no one is, we're all similar in the sense that we love, you know, performing and that kind of thing, but everyone has their own individual characteristics that make them who they are, which really does resonate when they are on for their queen. And it's clever how this show was cast. Everyone is just so well fitted their queen, and the way that we all then gel together is it's quite magical, really.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I've ever seen such perfect casting, to be honest, especially even the swings, the way that you can just so perfectly mold into 6 different characters. I mean, it's wonderful. It's so exciting to watch.
The word is out. The Theatre Thoughts Monthly is here, and it's your chance to get exclusive giveaways, podcast episodes, reviews, and more direct to your inbox. Don't wait until next month. Get this month's Theatre Thoughts Monthly now. It takes 2 seconds to sign up. Simply head to the link in this episode's description and select the Theatre Thoughts Monthly option to fill in your details. It's that simple. You'll receive links direct to this month's edition of Charlotte's Cheap Thrills, early access to an exclusive giveaway only for Theatre Thoughts subscribers, and the early goss on our next massive star on the podcast. Now, let's get back to today's episode.
Do you think it's more exciting to be a swing and get the opportunity to play all 6 characters rather than being a resident queen who only gets to do one? So I wonder if there's ever any of like the resident cast that make jokes that they wish they could swap it out for one night or something like that. Like,
Totally. Well, actually, some of the queens were chatting last night because they were like, what happens if we went down to the point where like we all had to start sharing the roles, like, and I had to be Howard or you had to be Cleves. Like, they were actually talking about it the other night, and they were
No way.
we reckon we could do it. I'm sure they could, but
absolutely.
You know, I think it's absolutely. I mean, I'm biased because I am a swing, but I absolutely love being able to just like dip my toe into each of, you know, the characters, because they all bring something so unique to the show. And I think having the opportunity to play each of them, because they're all just so incredible and powerful in their own right, and I feel like I have a bit of each queen in myself because I've had to explore, you know, playing each of them and relate them to me in some way. So now I can see bits of myself in every queen. And so it's almost like I then get to thrive in that element of them when I play whoever I am on for at that given point in time. But yeah, I personally love just like being someone new every night sometimes and having to just be like, I mean, everyone, no matter who they are in the show, has an appreciation for every queen. But I feel like when you do get to actually explore and play them all, I just find like a deeper love and appreciation for the show, which I just think is something really special that you do get when you do play all of them.
I want to talk about the last 2 weeks because you've had such a ride. Now, did I get this right? Did you go on halfway through a production, or am I making that up?
No, you're right. I did. I went on halfway through the show. So
now that's particularly hard because there's no intermission. It's a one show.
Yeah, that's true.
What's the story? I need to know. What happened?
Of course. I'll share. I'll set the scene. I was in my slippers backstage, and I had been on that week previously. I had been on all week. I started the week as Howard. I then went to Cleves. And then the next day I was on for Aragon. So I had just gone in a row, like Howard, Cleves, Aragon. And I had done all 3 queens that week. And then, so on Sunday was my first day where I wasn't scheduled on. And so I absolutely lapped that up, and I made myself a tea and I put my slippers on, and I was like, I'm just going to relax this show. And when I say relax, I mean, I was in Christina's office and she was giving me notes from all the shows. That's how relax. She was giving me notes from all the shows that I had previously done. We were going through the notes, and then my company manager opened the door and was like, and Chiara will be getting you ready for par. And I was like, okay. And then cue me running to my dressing room. And like, you know, the good thing about, you know, our company and the way it's all set up is that we do our makeup every single night, regardless we're on or not. And we have an emergency hairstyle. So we will do our hair to in a hairstyle that is something that isn't similar to anyone else on stage. So that if we were to go on stage in an emergency, we don't look like anyone else. And the crown gets put on us, and in costume, off we go. So I had already had my hair done, my makeup was done, and so all that needed to happen was literally me get into costume, put the crown on, and then I could just go. And I literally had my iPad out with my stage right notes, and I literally was just like looking at it like that. And I was like trying to literally just like take it all in, because obviously I hadn't been par for a little bit. And so like one of the ones that I had been that week. And so I was like, okay, but I was weirdly calm. I had Christina next to me just being like, is there anything you need? And I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just going to look over this script, because I was obviously going on for the final queen. So where I went on in the show was right before her massive monologue and her solo song. I did Vidya was feeling unwell that night, and ended up, not being very well at all when she left the stage. So it was such an incredible call made by Vidya in that moment, because you have to make a call to be like, am I well enough to continue the show? And to make that call for yourself is just, I honestly admire her so much, because you have, it's like a minuscule of a second to be like, can I get through this, or do I need to make this call? And, we literally almost did like and she came off and I went on. And I think there was like a minute of pause. It was after All You Want to Do, and Chelsea finished her song, and then Chelsea walked off, and there was an announcement that just said the role of Catherine Parr will now be played by Chiara Assetta.
Oh, wow.
And the light came back on, and on I went.
What?
On you went, yeah.
And I literally went straight into the moment where Pa is in the middle of the circle about to start singing.
Oh my God.
And I was like, in my head, I was like, of course this is how my week ends. It's been such a chaotic week of being on for, all the queens previously, and then I was like, it just wouldn't have been right if I ended the week on a normal way. I had to end it
absolutely
show going on for the last queen who literally hasn't even sung yet.
Wow.
Oh my God, what's the logistics of that? Like, obviously there's no intermission or any break, so how is that communicated that Vidya is unwell?
So we only go off twice in the show, and when I say we go off, we are literally sprinting off, having a drink, patting ourselves with a tissue, blowing your nose, and literally just having to run back on again. And so Vidya, when she came off, let one of our backstage crew know that she was not feeling well, and she was like, I'm just flagging this now. She's like, I might be okay to get through the rest of the show, but she was like, I don't feel right. And she was like, so I'm just flagging this now in case things start to get worse. And that's when I was notified. So that's when I then was told, we're going to get you ready just in case. And so that was during Get Down. That's when I got on my costume and all of that stuff. And then, it was like, I was side of stage during All You Want to Do, ready to be like, okay, I'm just preparing.
Ready to swap.
I'm ready to go on if she needs me to be there for her. And that's and I think that's my biggest priority as a swing, always making sure that the onstage cast know that if they are ever in a situation where they feel like they need to take that moment for themselves, that they can, and that there is someone there for them, not needing to worry about, the show in that moment when they're, focusing on what is going on with myself, and knowing that they don't need to feel any kind of feeling towards leaving the show if they need to go for themselves. And so, I've got you. You need to just, if you need to focus on yourself right now, you can go and do that, because the show will be fine. Don't worry about the show. The show will be okay. Like, everyone's health is the priority, and obviously the show is a priority too, but that's why you have swings.
Well, that deserves, let's see if I can get this right, that deserves a big round of applause. That is like,
How long have you been planning that one?
I was literally just thinking it then. I was like, which one's the applause button?
I love that.
Oh,
amazing.
No.
Well, what's because we only have a short time before the Zoom closes. I want to quickly talk about what's next for you after 6. So you guys are meant to be going to New Zealand, if that's still happening, hopefully, and then you got Brisbane. And what's next? Do you have like something in mind? Do you have a dream role beyond 6?
Well, I am definitely someone who lives in the moment. I don't, and this is something that if I can give any kind of advice to any performer out there, it's a hard gig. You have a contract and it finishes. And then, I know there are so many, myself included, I've done this, but I also have so many friends who get caught up in just worrying about what is next. And, you know, when it will come and all those things. And I just think at the end of the day, what's meant to happen will happen. And it's an unpredictable world we live in, especially with COVID now. And I just think, you know, I've wasted in the past so much time just concerned about what's next. And I was never living in the moment and really appreciating what I was in and what I was doing and the incredible people I was surrounded by, because I was just too focused on, oh, but what's after this? And when it finishes, I won't have a job. And like, you know, all that kind of thing that is so normal and natural to feel as well. Yeah. But I have just decided, especially over COVID and the hard times that we've all been through, I'm just like, you don't know what tomorrow will bring. And so I am just such a big believer now in just like living day at a time, and like whatever will present itself and comes, I will be open for and ready. And I just think that is just the way to enjoy life. Because if you're consistently, you know, worried or thinking about what's next, I feel like you don't then get to live in the moment, and you miss out on things that are happening right in front of you. So I think that's definitely something that I have learned over just literally only recently. So it's only something that I've slowly come to terms with, for how, you know, I just want to move forward in life, because I just think it's short, and, you know, I want to make it sweet. And I think that's just the best way to go about it. So whatever life wants to throw at me, I'm ready, and I will be here and willing.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chiara, for jumping on with us. This has been amazing.
Oh,
like the stories is just incredible. I love, and honestly, I'm sure Zoe's the same, love learning just the behind the scenes stuff that you don't see.
Oh, we're obsessed with it. We love to know all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. I absolutely, you know, I love having these chats and talking about what I do, because it's true. Sometimes people don't know exactly the ins and outs of things that happen, and that is the beauty of live theatre. We all just make it look so seamless and, you know, but yeah, no, thank you for having me. I've loved chatting.
No worries. Well, you can hopefully you might be able to see Chiara when she comes on for Six the Musical, which is playing at the Melbourne Comedy Theatre until August 21st. You can get tickets at sixthemusical.com.au/Australia. And thank you, Zoe, for coming on as our co-host. It's been great having you on. So Zoe's directing The Taming of the Shrew for Shakespeare Company, going from Friday the 5th of August to Sunday the 14th of August in Wollongong. So thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. This has been awesome.
Justin. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you so much.
Too.
Pleasure to meet you, Chiara.
Thank you.
Thank you to Zoe Rose for being our co-host on today's episode. You can book tickets to The Taming of the Shrew at Dyer Theatre Company's The Forge Theatre in Wollongong by visiting their Facebook page. A massive thank you to Chiara Assetta for joining us on the podcast. You can book tickets to Six the Musical in Melbourne before it closes, and join the waitlist for New Zealand and Brisbane by heading to sixthemusical.com.au. All the links for these episodes can be found in the episode's description. That's it for another episode of the Theatre Thoughts podcast. If you have a production you're wanting to promote, have a thought on theatre you wish to highlight, or feel like you can bring diverse and insightful conversation to the podcast, why not come on as a Theatre Thoughts co-host? We're looking for new and exciting people to come and feature in future podcasts and talk with our amazing guests. Contact our team now at theatrethoughtsteam@outlook.com or by hitting us up on our socials. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time here on the Theatre Thoughts podcast.